Hello everybody, Darren here, and welcome back to Satisfactory. Now today we're going to be automating a little bit of packaged fuel and revamping our weapons platform into a new compacted coal factory, complete with new truck stations and road infrastructure to help carry that compacted coal over to our recently built oil refinery. Now why are we doing this? Well, it's to make turbo fuel and massively boost our power network to almost 20,000 megawatts. However, this project did end up taking a little bit longer than I thought, ballooning the video size up to nearly 2 hours, so decided to go with a lot of the feedback from before and break it up into 2 parts. I didn't actually know that while recording it though, but the next part coming in just a couple of days because it's already been recorded, most of it at least. Also, between episodes I went on another scavenger hunt, and I even ventured deep into the swamp looking for more hard drives, collecting a further 8 in total. I wanted to do this before advancing milestones any further, as that means you'll unlock the recipes for where you're at in the game now, rather than getting things that might be just a little bit too advanced for us. So, with that in mind, let's begin. Alright ladies and gentlemen, so by now we should know the drill. Over on the right hand side of the screen we have our to-do list for today. We're going to be working on turbo fuel, of course, and the first port of call is going to be making packaged fuel. This is actually a requirement to unlock turbo fuel the traditional way inside of the map. Then we're going to source some compacted coal, activate some fresh oil on the Spire coast and send it along our new Spire Stream pipeline, refine it into heavy oil, get it into turbo fuel, and then pop it into some generators. So we're going to be modifying the area that we built in the previous episode, which is this area here, our little oil refinement area, right? We have 20 refineries here doing plastic and rubber evenly, and then 5 doing fuel, going into a little bit of generators there. So we're going to modify this section primarily, and then stack a few new refineries on top of these ones that are largely doing the same thing. If we just want to refresh our memories, the oil is coming in from a very large Spire Stream pipeline all the way there, just going straight out towards the Spire coast, and then it's going to our little distribution platform. So we have 2 of the pipelines in use so far, 4 are available, so we just have to send oil through them and we'll be ready to go. And of course in the future we can double the output of the oil on each pipeline, so that'll be great later on down the line. To get started, we're going to do packaged fuel. Now, you don't actually have to do this, but we're going to anyways. So basically, we have to make canisters, and I'm going to make them... I tell you what, actually, we'll move that awesome sink in just a sec. I'm going to make them here, I guess. And we'll select this to be canisters. This is going to require a little bit of plastic. So how much are we going to use? Well, we're going to have a look at our packager, and we'll build one right here. This should be totally fine. And the packager is going to be making packaged fuel. Now, that's quite a lot. We don't necessarily need all of this. I might just do 10 per minute as a little safety net. And that means we can reduce one of these. It's consuming 50 per minute, so if we say that we just go down to 200%, we can get that power shard back. We are lowering our power output slightly to recoup that 10 fuel. So there's 10 extra fuel on the pipeline now. So what we'll do is we'll just put down a junction somewhere here, hold control, rotate it just slightly to angle up, and then send this in there nice and clean like. So that'll be our fuel going in here. We'll have to give this a power pole, so we'll just connect that to here. Whoops. And connect that in. So that's now receiving the excess fuel that we have. So we have to get the containers around this way now. In fact, I think actually it might be cleaner to do the constructor here. So that's what we'll do instead. Now, I was kind of alluding to, but I never fully mentioned it, you don't actually have to do this. Like in the MAM, it requires a hard drive in order to unlock turbo fuel. We're going to use an alternate recipe for turbo fuel. Well, I might just unlock it anyway so that we have everything we need. But in theory, if you're a little cheap, a little tight on using these things, you could avoid it entirely if you wanted to retain your hard drives for a little bit longer. Okay, so the next thing then is getting a smart splitter from our plastic line, right? We already have a smart splitter here going into that awesome sink, but we'll just break it off from this point instead. So I use that one as an anchor, hold control, and then it snaps to the belt a bit more cleanly, so we can just do that. And we'll set the overflow out the left. And then here, just with a Mark 1, because we're using a very small amount, send it all the way down into there. We'll hook this up to power. I'll just build a power pole there, connect that straight across. This one's good to go. That'll be now empty canisters. We can get an alternate recipe hopefully later down the line to use something a bit better here. Now we only need 10 per minute, so we only need 5 plastic per minute. We already make 200 per minute, so that should be nice and easy. So the plastic is making its way down here already. It'll just take a little bit of time to get in there. So we'll give this its setup right now. So I suppose what we probably want to do is just give ourselves a small container. I don't really need a big one for this, and we'll just move it a bit forward. We'll get a dimensional depot to place that on top. We'll, of course, hook in a Mark III lift to this dimensional depot. So I've been streaming recently, and people have mentioned that, you know, you can eventually upgrade your depot speed to do 240 per minute. So really, if you're setting up any dimensional depot, because they're going to be dotted all around the world in different factories, to be future-proofed, you might as well just hook up a Mark III belt to them. Most people probably do this anyway. I'm a sucker for just putting down the lowest belt speed. I don't know, it's just a habit of mine to always work with the lowest belt speed and then upgrade it if I feel like I need it. But that can often get you into trouble, right? So just, it's probably best that most people just use the best belt speed they have. Now, we'll do a smart splitter here. I'm actually thinking it's just going to change one more thing. This is the third time I'm going to move this. I'm going to move this forward. So I'll just get rid of that. We'll build another constructor to do the exact same thing with it. Alright, so just going to move it forward to there. It'll make sense in a second why. And then we'll just continue this around to the same spot. No big deal. Set that to be iron again. We'll just say 10 per minute. Did I do that right? Yep. And just hook that up to power. Okay, cool. Right, so the reason for that is because we want an awesome sink. Just one awesome sink, so we're not wasting power too much. We'll just place that one down here. Maybe I can push that just a little further back, maybe. Right, so awesome sink, maybe just a bit further back there. We're not clipping through anything. No, we're okay. We can go to there. Alright, so going to get rid of this one. We're going to extend the Mark IV belt out in a straight line. In you go. No problem there. Hook this up to power as well, so the power pole there. This is receiving plastic and rubber now because both of the truck stations are full, so they're overflowing already, which is great. Yep, this is totally fine, but what we want to have happen is overflow this area once this gets done. So this can go in here, that can go in there, this can go along this way. To about this location, we'll send it on the lift up and over. We'll build a fresh merger here. Connect that again. In we go, and yeah, pull this out to that point right there, and the lift can just connect into its little buddy. Very tubular, but that should work totally fine. It's automatically connected. We can't build a belt in there, so that should be totally okay. Right, so we'll just make sure this is right. We want the overflow to go out the center and the Annie to go out the right. So now we can see our first little batch of 10 per minute. And we'll just see, make sure that this works, and it'll just go into the awesome sink. But this will at least be a nice little test run, just to make sure that the lifts are connected, because you never know, sometimes a little finicky. And we have liftoff. Alright, cool. So it works. Alright, so it's as easy as that. So now we have our overflow going into the awesome sink, no big deal. We then have our little 10 plastic per minute rolling into one little constructor that's underclocked to just take in 10 per minute. That then rolls around and sends canisters out into our lovely little packager. The packager, as you can see, is getting fuel. You can see the orange liquid spurting out. Fuel gets made into 10 per minute packaged fuel, which is going into our dimensional depot. And it'll go in and fill that container. Once the container is totally full, it'll continue and overflow into the awesome sink. It's obviously important that we do overflow, make sure all these machines continuously run, A, for predictable power lines, and B, to make sure that everything continuously runs and nothing gets backed up. If the fuel were to back up here, the heavy oil would back up. That would stop the plastic being refined and everything. So it could have all these knock-on effects that we want to avoid. Alright, I am back at base. So we'll just access the MAM and we'll have a look at what's been going on. So we just unlocked heavy oil residue, smart plane. We've got tons of different recipes in here. I'm not too concerned with what any of them are. We'll get them all eventually. So I'm just going to start rescanning. Funnily enough, we actually have a coated iron canister there, so if you want to avoid using oil-based products, we could actually do that. Solid steel ingot, that's another famous one. We'll try to avoid that one. Maybe we'll try this one first. So rescan. We're going to rescan this one. Come on, baby, you got to be here somewhere. We're looking for a turbo fuel recipe. There we are, we got it. So I had to rescan quite a few there, but we did manage to find it. Turbo heavy fuel, taking in heavy oil and compacted coal to make turbo fuel. So now we've unlocked turbo fuel without actually having unlocked it in here. So normally what you'd have to do is get 15 compacted coal, 50 packaged fuel, and a hard drive. So maybe we'll just leave that for a while, because I'm not going to use that recipe, nor am I going to use the other subnodes after the fact. We'll get it eventually. Obviously you want to get everything, right? But we don't need that one for a while. Now, I got excited and started running back over towards the refineries, but we actually have other things to do here first. So, number one, we have the stun rebar. So 10 little iron rebar plus the quick wire. Get that unlocked. Another little amount of quick wire here, and we can get the Mark II power poles. So then we can build power poles with more connections. Now, we also have the vitamin inhaler. We'll take on that. A little bit of mycelia, a little bit of berries. No big deal. The nutrient inhaler here. We'll grab that as well. Alright, next up in the quartz chain, radio signal scanning. So if we just pull ourselves out a little bit of extra motors from our dimensional depot cloud, we can then activate that one quite easily. So this is going to allow us to scan for hard drives. So if you don't want to look up external websites and things, or if you do and you're just trying to hone in on where you need to go, basically, you can now use the object scanner to find a hard drive that you're close to. Alright, so I've got just one or two more upgrades to do, so we're going to head over to the weapons factory, which is just underneath the Spire Stream pipeline, just roughly where I'm aiming right now. I don't think this is actually going to remain as a weapons factory. We're going to use all of the sulfur and all of the coal available to us currently to make compacted coal in this area, so it's going to go undergo a bit of a redevelopment. Now, we have a really big container already full of nobelisks, right? 1,200. Now, that's a lot. In fact, it might be enough to last us the entire game. So I'm probably going to move this container back over to the main base with the 1,200 in it, stick a dimensional depot on it, so we still are pulling from that all the time when we want to make nobelisks, but I'm going to stop the production of nobelisks now. But one thing I did want to do while I'm here is take some of the black powder, so that we have 200. We'll open up another MAM, and in the sulfur chain, we want to unlock smokeless powder. We're going to use this later, but we might as well just get it now. And using some heavy oil, I think we can make smokeless powder, and that's going to allow us to then work our way down towards getting the rifle. So, just want to, keep progressing and get moving towards that kind of stuff. And that's really going to be it for the MAM upgrades for now. Another thing I want to do is we'll just pull the fuel out of our dimensional depot. Now we've got 80, and then if we set our preferred fuel type in our jetpack to packaged fuel, we can save up that solid biofuel for the next video, which is going to be all about liquid biofuel. But this will give us a nice little boost, quite literally, and allow us to burn for a little bit longer while we're flying around, getting around a little bit easier as we navigate the world. Liquid biofuel is going to be even better, and it's actually, in my opinion, the best jetpack fuel, until, I guess, you get to the very, very late game ones. I haven't actually played with those yet, but people have told me ionized fuel or something is supposed to be amazing, so we'll see. But for now, liquid biofuel will do us very, very well. Alright, let's get started on compacted coal. So I'm going to clear a lot of the infrastructure here because it's no longer needed now, including the delivery of steel pipe and all of that. So I'm just going to sink this in an awesome sink, get rid of the tractor, reset the board basically, and we're going to rebuild this area. Now, just as I'm redeveloping the area, it's worth noting that this road I think can now go. It was kind of weird and squiggly. I'll probably make another road, but maybe just the turn will be here and it'll be a bit more of a straight line and a cleaner kind of cut down there. Or we could bring it down from here in a straight line down that way. So I'm going to reorganize this and make it make sense. Alright, so I've moved the Nobilis container over towards my little main base area. So just give me a little container with a dimensional depot on top. A little sign to let me know that you shouldn't send anything in here. It's just kind of for one thing only. Alright, so we have a nice, lovely, big blank canvas here in front of us with a little bit of terrain features poking through. We'll build around that. We'll work it into the factory. Anyways, so we're going to be working with new blueprints that I kind of hinted at in the previous episode. So we've got two new categories here in my blueprints, and of course these are all available whatdarrenplays.com/satisfactory. Also, the instructions on how to get them into your game are available at that same link, and as are the color codes that I use in my various machines. Now these are called dynamic. Another word could have been maybe just generic instead of dynamic, but generic has a kind of a negative connotation to it, so I decided to use dynamic. So what this basically means is we have a constructor here, right? Really basic. And if you notice, the input is going out to the right, and the output is going to the right. So it's called constructor, input right, output right. If I press E, we have input right, output left. Input left, output right, and input left, output left. The reason I've done that is because after playing the game for a really long time, I would often build blueprints with recipes set. And then I would try to use those blueprints in different places and realize, oh, based on this factor, I actually have to send the outputs to the left or the outputs to the right, or just change them a little bit. So instead, what's much quicker than having to rebuild inputs and outputs is just assigning the recipe by copying and pasting it. Or just modifying one of these blueprints in the blueprint designer. And now that we've kind of got a labeled name for them, a naming convention, where I say in L, out L. It's like the input's going out to the left, the output's going out to the left. It just makes things much easier now going forward on basically using these in a variety of factories. So the only thing that would be a bit more specific is the power is set to 12 meters. So I could probably adjust that in future if we need to, or just cut those off if we don't want them. 12 meters is usually a generic height that I often go with for machines, because I often stack these machines on top of each other, which is something we're going to do today. So there's no difference here in the assembler category. It's just that there's more inputs, so then we have more variations, right? So we have input right, right, out, left, input left, right, out, right, and so on and so forth. I won't name them all, but you can just see them. And as I just hold or press E and flip through them, we can just see that all that changes really is the arrows. I guess that merger moves back and forth for some reason. But anyways, so that's it. So what we're going to be doing here today now is doing compacted coal. We need 15 assemblers if we want a clean build. But with the spacing of things, I'm actually going to go for 16 assemblers. So we'll go one more and then we'll clock them down just a little bit. So I've actually got these on my new hotbar here. So thankfully, if you organize these in a good category, you can just then flip between them really easily. So basically, we have coal coming in from the left, and we have sulfur coming in from the right. So we need some sort of input that is right and left, or left and right. Either one is good by me. So this one will be perfect. Now the output is going to the right, so I want an LR with an output to the left. And there we go. It's as easy as that. This is actually genuinely my first time using them, and that does work quite well. I'm happy with that. All right, so let's get them to align over. I guess we can go all the way to the very edge here. I've already reserved some terrain out this way, although thinking about it, we could go much further. I might start from this side then, because that'll be a safer place to work from. So we'll start from the left, and we'll build just 8 of these machines down. Alright, so we're looking good here. Cool, so there's 1, we'll set blueprint mode on now, 2, 3, and we have to build 8 in total. Alright. I think that's it. Now, obviously, a drawback here is that I have to connect all these belts together. And in future, I'll make stacked versions of these and make multiple versions of these. But I wanted to wait until I have the Blueprint Mark II designer before doing that. This way, I can still set the belt speed sort of myself and just make sure everything's connected anyway. So it's not that big of a deal. It saves me time on some of the merging aspects. Okay, so we're going to set the alternate for compacted coal. I don't know why it's necessarily an alternate. I think the main recipe for compacted coal is it's a byproduct. But anyways, so it's going to take 25 per minute coal in and 25 sulfur per minute in to give you 25 compacted coal. So equal parts of these gives you the same rate out for one combined good. So that's totally fine. But like I said, we were going to do 50, if we just open this up, 15 machines times 25. Is that correct? No, this is not right, actually. I've done something wrong. Turns out I actually made some mistakes. Our target is going to be making 480 compacted coal per minute, which we can easily do. I must have just written things down wrong for some reason, but it doesn't really matter. It'll be fine, because at least the output is correct, which I based everything else off of. Anyway, so if they're making 25 per minute, we need 19.2. So that actually means we need 10 on the bottom. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I actually built one more than I needed, and then we'll go with number 10 here. Good thing I did go from the left to the right, huh? So in that case, yeah, we'll just build this out a little bit, give ourselves that little extra room, and we'll switch this to be concrete. Our little concrete center. Now on the outskirts, I've just been doing it unpainted as well, so let's do that. Cool. Alright, so there we go. Alright, so I'm just going to hook all of these up, and then we'll build the next row on top. Now, we're doing 480 in, as well as 480 out, so we're going to need our max belt speed of Mark IV connecting all the way down. Alright, so there we go. Easy enough, they've all been connected. Now we have to actually assign the recipe, right? So it's going to be compacted coal, but we're going to clock it down to match the number that we want to go for. So we know that the output we are aiming for is 480. We know that we're going to have 20 machines, so that'll be 24. Is what our target output is per machine. So we can just click it like that, and that's it. Now we can copy the settings and paste it down. There's another way of doing this that I just thought I would mention as well. So let's say that we know the source is going to be 480 sulfur divided by 25. We had 19.2 machines. Yeah? So you could say that 19.2 is the amount of machines you should have, but we're after building 20. So we'll say 19.2 divided by 20 gives us 0.96. So obviously if we just times that by 100, not 1200, 100, it gives us 96. That is our percentage number, and you could actually just paste that in here, and that'll give you the same thing. So that's two different ways of getting the same results. Alright, so we're just going to paste this now all the way down to every machine. Alright, so to work with the blueprint I have, what I'm actually going to do is go with the frame floor foundation. And this will probably obfuscate what's really going on pretty well. So build a frame floor foundation out twice in a row. And then up here, I'll put down the catwalk. And then you probably won't really be able to notice the gap. I think actually the gap might even be mitigated doing this. So we'll just do something like that. Go all the way down. I can go all the way down. And then we'll place the new row of machines up here. So that's what we're left with instead now. So, even getting right up on it, it's really hard to see, you know? I think it's fine. So we'll leave it like that. So one of the nice things we can do with the catwalk intersection, and just the catwalk generally, is now on the edge we could do the T-junction. And we could just give that nice sort of railing to the front of the whole thing. And then where we want, you know, we could just put in staircase and things to get up and down here. And it might look a bit more structurally sound that way. And we'll put some pillars and stuff to maybe make it look like it's propped up a bit. But before we do that, we'll do the aesthetics kind of last. We'll do the next row of machines. So we'll start here and just make sure this is lined up exactly as the same as the one down below. So it's going to be a little tricky because it's a bit off. Alright, there we go. So yeah, it might be worth blueprinting this in future actually, because I'll probably do this multiple times over. So that's our little railing going all the way around. And now we just have to do something similar up top. But up top, I'm going to use the beam instead, right? So we'll grab our wall. I'm actually going to start the wall from the ground just to make sure that we get the right height, because it might be like an inch or a millimeter off. So we'll go to 6 here. 1, 2, 3. And then here we'll just build that beam across, and that should latch on fairly well. So it looks like we have to start about there. There we go. Now, I want the beam to probably come up from down below. So if we even just start it, I guess here on the 6 meter mark. I always want to start on marks that are divisible by 2. So like that. I'll start there. Get rid of this one. And now this can just go across all the way. And again, should be divisible by 2. So that's 40 meters. And we'll go all the way down until we hit some sort of even number. So 24 meters. That looks pretty good to me. We could go tuck into 22, but I'll go 24. I think that's fine. Now, I just realized that they actually only need to be a Mark III belt, if you care about that kind of thing. Obviously, there's no harm in having it Mark IV, but I like to have the lowest belt I need. I just think it looks better that way. Just putting in more of these support beams just to make it look like, you know, the platform's been held up a little bit. So the way I've done it is I've basically just looked at the actual frame foundation, not the catwalk, but the frame foundation, stuck it in by just a little bit, and then brought it down to the 12 meter mark. Because the frame foundation is like a millimeter, an inch lower than it really would let on, at least the bottom of it, this would sink down if you were just trying to attach it, right? It would sink down like that, so I'm just looking at the side of it and then nudging it over. And that tends to work pretty well. Alright, so there we go. So that's what we've basically got. So I went with a distance of 5 rails. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then pillar. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then pillar. And I did the same on the right side, and then they meet in the middle, because it's an uneven amount. It's 14 in total. You could do it every 2 foundations, and that would even it out completely. But I don't know, it seemed like too much to me. So, gone with this instead. We're just going to do it on the other side, and then we'll get to actually building and doing logistics properly again. Now, to make power look a little bit more clean, probably going to grab a power pole, stick one little node on one side, stick another node on the other side, and then just bring it down. So I'll probably go to... If we can go up and down, that'd be great. But nope, we can't. Go to about there, and then I'm just going to clip it through and continue down on the next pole. And I suppose this could just come out and meet here somewhere. So that goes to about that height. So we'll go there, maybe. And just give it a pull right here. Out a bit, I guess. About there. Now, this will be compact coal coming out here, so what we'll have to do is I might just temporarily remove one of these just to make the point a bit clearer. We'll just use a foundation for a moment. A Mark I foundation is totally fine. Or Mark I, you know what I mean. We'll get a floor hole somewhere maybe in line with the center of the foundation, at least here. This is going to be a Mark III, and it's going to be taking stuff in. So we get our Mark III belt, that takes it in. So, I noticed that my build has been a little off. This was supposed to be in the center here. Now, it doesn't actually matter. It really doesn't. But I've decided to redo it anyway. So, I'm just going to redo that really quickly. The placement should be just 2 nudges over. And that way, everything will be center aligned with the center points of these foundations. It doesn't matter if that didn't happen. It really doesn't, because it's all contained anyways. But I thought it'd be pretty quick just to redeploy these blueprints before any of these machines actually turn on and get their stuff. So yep, just once everything's center aligned, then it's just a matter of hooking those up again, so it's nice and quick. Alright, so there we go. So the merger is now in place. Looks pretty good. We don't really have a way of getting up and down here yet, so I'll do that later, because we might have a little walkway that goes over towards where the truck station's going to go. So the next thing I'm going to do is figure out where the road can come in, and then build a truck station around that. So that's what I'm going to get to work now. Alright, I thought it would just take a brief moment to show what I've done so far, the progress so far. So basically, I kept the road at the same height the entire way over. I basically swapped positions with that power pole. So that big power pole used to be on the right, the road was on the left. Now it's flipped, so that just gives us a bit more clearance when it comes to that piece of rock that's coming out of the terrain. This is, for the moment, just floating in the air, but I'm going to endeavor to make it part of the building. And then, instead of going down with the merger, maybe we go up and we just go straight across. We have a walkway that leads right over there, and the truck stations are going to be on this side. So that's at least my vision so far. I'm just kind of winging it, you know, but we're going to build this out as concrete then, and this is where the truck stations are going to go. Alright, so I finished the cosmetics. I wanted to get a nice high vantage point so we could actually take a look at it. This is actually the first time I've seen it from this height as well. I just kind of climbed up there and went to have a look at it. So it's pretty basic, generally speaking. I'm trying to just make use of some different colors other than just constantly going with yellow and gray all the time. But this is basically it. So I haven't hooked up any of the belts or anything yet. We still have to actually turn this on. But now we've basically got this new road that leads out. We're going to go around down and then come back up. I've got 2 truck stations. We're only going to be sending compacted coal from here. But in the future, we might use something else. Like maybe we'll send some black powder or something. I thought it was best just to have another truck station just in case. If we really get into a pickle and we need to go further out, that's no problem as well. We just keep extending it. But as you can see, they haven't been hooked up to power, nor have they got their stuff fed in yet. So basically here on the left we have the stairwell, so we'll just hop in this way. Very basic, just foundation stairs all the way down, and then we lead into the assembly room, which is basically just the room that we were building in. Okay, so that hasn't changed, none of the machines have moved, anything like that. I've wrapped the place in some tilted walls and windows. We've got windows all around. I had a painted beam to create the kind of red trim effect to everything. The coal miner is housed within, and then the other miner is actually outside, so we have to go out this way, and we get to this one. So that one's not even going to be used, I don't think, although I could use it just to keep the truck stations going, thinking about it, if we wanted to. There's little bits that isn't done yet, and not painted just yet, obviously. The big spire goes out through the roof, and this is a suggestion that someone actually mentioned on the Motor Factory, to have, like, a second roof just over the opening, because I think I had the Awesome Sink in the previous one. Its antenna was kind of coming through the roof, and then people suggested, I can't remember who it was, but someone suggested, hey, you should build like little stilts and add a little mini roof on top of it so it's not completely open. So I've done that. This staircase leads back out here, so you know, it's basically 2 staircases that are right on top of each other. It's just whatever one's most convenient to get out. We've got lights the whole way down. At nighttime we should see them turn on, so that should be alright. Of course, as we lead down here, we have another exit out the west to continue on to the Spire pipeline thing, and then the sulfur mine is out this way. This is a little funky. This was 3 meters off the ground rather than 2 or 4, so it makes it just a bit messy. You can't really use a lift properly. Well, I don't really mind too much. I think it's okay. So we're going to bring that in here, bring it in, and then bring it down and feed it in. It's going to have to be split now between the 2. In fact, we can just get started on that right now. So this should be aligned with here. And we'll keep it nice and raised. Here, we'll bring it down. So this is going to be a Mark III. This might be a little too far over. Yeah. Well, we could cheat a little bit and bring it down this way. That gives us the space to work with the turn properly. Right, so there we go. Straight belts. That's going to go along the bottom. I can't remember why I decided that had to be the sulfur. Oh yeah, because it's all facing to the left, and the other one's facing to the right. Yeah, I remember now. Cool. Alright, so then the other one's going to have to go upstairs. Or suistyra, as we say in Ireland. So that could come this way, or we could just go... Would that be too far in now, again? Yeah, it's the same situation, isn't it? So it's to be too far over. Alright, yeah, we'll take the other side then, and just go up. Mark III'd out of our mind. And I don't mind just going straight through. Normally what I do is I do a little cheat. We'll just bring this over now. And then visually it'll look like it's going through a floor hole. So it's It's the same thing. Alright, so that's going to go through, and then we'll just circle it around into here. No problem. And we'll activate that soon enough when we connect it up. We just then have to do the same for coal over on this end. So there's our coal mine. So we're going to have to set this to... Do we have... This is Mark II miner already. We're going to be setting it to 480 per minute. I hope we can do that. Oh, we can only get 300. We're going to have to merge this up with the other one coming in from out there. And now that I think about it, I didn't really give it room to come out. We might have to add a little entrance thing in here and just bring this along, maybe. Or it could come over the doorway like the other one, actually, thinking about it. Would that be the worst thing? Yeah, actually, that might make the most sense. That way it's consistent with the other place. So we'll just do a conveyor wall hold there. I'm using a new color that you might notice. Again, you can get these in my blueprints. It's called white cream. So it's a little off-white. And then I'm just using the red normal color as the colors for this entire place. Alright, so yeah, we'll make sure that that goes into this group. So we need a splitter coming in, I guess from this side would probably make the most sense. And then we'll get this guy to go all the way up. Is this definitely center aligned? Oh yeah, but it usually works better if we go from the top down. So we're center aligned, we'll get our Mark III lift. 1, 2, 3, 4. Don't even need to look at it. Guarantee it's gonna work. Oh yeah. Alright, and then get this down, and it plugs in. And now it's a bit more tucked in than it was before. It matches the other side better. Great. Alright, so Mark IV out of your mind. You're going to come down here, straight belt mode. And then Mark III, it's going to go up and in. That's busy feeding already. So the other one isn't actually powered yet. This one is powered. Yep, cool. Alright, so to get this one going, I suppose we'll just get a power pole here. And I'll just do a double wall outlet, I think, here. Should keep the line fairly straight and in line with things. And then this can connect straight over. So that's now powered also. Hopefully we have the power for this. Yeah, I guess since we just buffed it recently. Did I just see power go up and down? No, it's just the capacity line. Okay, good. Alright, so we should see fresh coal coming in a minute. Although we have a yellow light out there, so what's the big deal? Ah, there we go. And just to help this guy along, there's 100 right there, right off the bat. I mean, it stalls the machine straight away, but it'll get out. Now, those are set correctly. Right, the coal is flowing, which means our compacted coal is going to be going soon. We'll have to build an awesome sink in here. So we have a nice big open part of the flooring here. I'm hoping the ceiling goes high enough. Actually, I didn't check that to keep the antenna at bay. Let's see. So, yes, nice. We are lined up. All right, cool. Let's just head out to the sulfur and make sure that that's okay. We're going to have to buff it as well to be 480. That is a pure node, so that should be quick enough. Massively underclocked because we were just doing a little bit of nobelisks before. So we want to go up to 480, please. Nice. It's good that we have some left over. Like, we could keep nobelisk production going in there. Actually, yeah, we could. With the extra coal we have, we could easily do that. Although we just don't have the belt speed for it right now. But in the next belt tier, we could do it if we wanted to get that back going again. Although we do have 1,200 nobelisks now. Right, so Mark IV. Mark IV, we'll just copy this all the way down now. I have to try and race ahead of the burning belt. And we are there. Alright, cool. So that's our Mark IV ready to go. We now just plug this into here. And that should be the sulfur rolling up. And it should be meeting the coal from the other side. Some of these have coal already, which is excellent. Great. Alright, it's as easy as that. These are all going to power on now and start making compacted coal. They're all going to come down here and meet at this little guy. This stairwell might need to move, actually, thinking about it, because we're going to be sending stuff right out there. Actually, thinking about it, I did say that we might actually go upstairs instead. That might make more sense, because we are targeting going straight over that way. So the thing would be here, lined up here, going out that one. Does that make sense? Yeah, we go straight out here, and then we'll go into there. Now, could I do this via floor hole? Yeah, I think so. Might be a little bit more elegant that way. So let's go here. And that can just be a Mark IV, plug straight in. Yeah, that's good. This needs to be powered to receive, I think. Alright, cool. So that way we can leave our wall intact. So there's the floor hole, and instead we could just do this. Okay, actually the ceiling thing wasn't really working, so I'm going to go Mark 4 and go 1, 2, 3, and 4. Or 3, actually. I think that's where we need to be. It's really weird, actually. That's a little off. Yeah, that seems correct. Okay, good. And this can just plug straight in here. Right, so now we should see compacted coal rolling out. So that's our Mark 3 belt. This is our Mark 3 lift. It's coming from both angles. Just get rid of this. This was me just trying to figure out the height there. So that's what we got instead. Yeah, so a bit messy. So what we'll just do, again, to prop that stuff up, is we'll just use the conveyor stackables. We know it's coming at the center of our foundation here, so just go all the way up. So there we are. And maybe just somewhere here to make it look a bit better. So that's right down the middle line. And we'll go here. And we'll give it the new color that we've got for these things. Alright, cool. Yeah, looking a little bit better now. Alright, I'm just going to do some painting, some finishing touches onto this, and then we'll check back in. Alright, so I've just gone around and done a bit of the cosmetics, painted most machines. Hasn't taken too long, and I think we're maybe almost at 100%. The ones on the end, I would imagine, yeah, still lacking a little bit of sulfur, but only 2 machines to go. We're almost there. So given a bit more time, they'll be alright. I moved the lift over to the left rather than the right, so that way it goes through the floor a bit more cleanly. So that's kind of what we're left with instead. So a little bit better, I think, on that side of things. Now, what we still need to do is handle overflow. We want this place to continue running. We are making 480 compacted coal per minute, so obviously we're filling up super fast. We already have 3,000. So yeah, so we anticipate these places getting full. Now, the idea would be, actually, that we're supposed to be consuming all 480, but just in case, for a little while, they want to keep the machines running. I suppose just even here, an awesome sink could just go in. We'll set up a little... How's that antenna, by the way? Yeah, we're okay with that. Just shift this over to be center aligned. So, a little weird to go up and then come back down and everything, but it's alright, I think. We'll just go with a... Yeah. Just to get this aligned, I suppose just start even somewhere here. Just going to do splitters all the way up till we get an anchor point. So what I call anchor points is if I'm holding control and it won't do anything, if you put a splitter down with an input next to it, it'll kind of force it to recognize that there's a, you know, something to latch onto. And then I can just get rid of this. That's often why I do that with junctions and things. I see that in the comments sometimes. People are like, why do you place this and then delete it and stuff? That would be the main reason. It doesn't matter if you're on the center aligned perfectly or not. Not really, but sometimes it does. So, yes. Right, so overflow out the right, Annie through the center. That's fine by me. We'll give it our cream color. And then we'll get our 480 belt to come straight down. Aim that way. 480 again. In you go. And we have to give this power. Now, is there any power poles nearby that would make sense? Not really. So maybe we'll go along... I guess we'll go along the center of this foundation. And get to about there. And then plug in. I guess I could talk about the lighting situation. So this is just the one light control box that I have. I'm using the kind of warm light that I ended up using for the Spire Stream pipeline. So basically, the mains comes in on the right. The light side of things goes on the left, so you want to keep this line separate and only feed lights. Now, the good thing with lights is they can daisy chain together. So you just connect into one, connect that one to that one, and so on and so forth. So this just now wraps around all the way. You can see it kind of trailing along the roof there. And then it wraps into each one of these as we go along. There we go. Just paint these as well real quick. Alright, cool. And then it even comes all the way through here, and it just wraps down through into one little light in here. So it's not perfectly lit or anything. Now remember I mentioned in the previous episode I'm using the mod Sky UI, so we can actually see what nighttime looks like right now. So by pressing Control L you can bring this up. It's a mod, again, called Sky UI. So we'll just fast forward time now, so that's nighttime. We have the lights set to come on at night, so they've just automatically turned on right there. And this is what the place looks like when the lights come on. Now that will take a little bit of extra power when that happens. You can see a little boop, little bump. All the night lights that come on. It's not just in here, but on the Spire Stream pipeline also. A little bit of a frame rate hit as well, I notice, when you have a lot of these compacted close together. But obviously if you're not in the area, it's not too bad. And then we have these ones also. So that's kind of what the place looks like. That's the little weird stilty roof thing I was talking about. If I had thinner beams, it might look a bit better. It looks okay though. Looks alright. It's like a little mini chimney thing. And yeah, that's... Oh my god. I can't believe it. gotta fix that. Get that red color on there. So yeah, that's ultimately what it looks like when it's lit up. We can just walk in now and see now that it's like proper nighttime what the place looks like. I'll hide the UI again. So it's bright enough to be able to see things. It's not super bright that everything's really overly lit. Underneath here is a bit dark. I'm waiting until we get the better display signs and I make crystal oscillators and stuff, and then you can actually just light that up through signs, basically. The very last thing that I suppose to talk about would be the signs that I placed around here. This one is just a 2 meter label, 2 meter label sign. It uses the exact colors we have on the machines. The emission strength is off. When it's on, it's kind of too bright, basically. Off, and matching the background color to the wall color makes it just look like a normal sign. It's not lit or powered by anything. It requires lighting to hit it, and then we kind of see it for what it is. Right, we'll just pop time back to roughly where it was. The lights have gone off now. And that's it. That's compacted coal with a little overflow. And it's going into the overflow now. So that just means that our truck station is full up. 4,800 in there right as we speak. Sweet. So now we have to drive a route over to the refineries to mix this into turbo fuel. But we won't do that just yet. We'll save it till later till we build those refineries. The next thing on the to-do list is to activate more oil on the Spire coast. So we have to go further out west. Right, because this is our first Spire Stream pumping station A. We need pumping station B, which I think is going to be somewhere around here. So we just basically have to build more and more of the pipeline further out in the same fashion. But at least it's no turns or anything like that. It's just a straight line from here on out. Alright, so that's going to have to be it for today's episode. Remember, the next video will see us expanding the Spire Stream pipeline and building 26 new refineries with 32 fuel generators. This expansion is going to enable us to build many new factories of greater size without much constraints. From there, we can start actually working towards Phase 3. That's all from me. Thank you very much for watching, and remember to like the video if you enjoyed it, subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you in the next one.